I get booked mostly for sensual stuff, and like so many of the sensual stuff, sensual bachata is like illusions, and people like go on YouTube and they try to copy moves, and like people end up getting hurt or getting like poked in the head.
Oh
And
man.
I like to base a lot of my workshop off of like I don't want to say issues, but things that I've seen in the social dance community that I feel like could be improved. And I don't think it's
Right.
a matter of like it's not their fault, but I think someone just needs to like remind them, that there's
Right.
a proper way to do
Of
something.
course.
And that, like we need to be focusing on safety first.
Of course. Yeah, I feel like you can only learn so much from YouTube. I don't think YouTube does not really.
Mama za kungi betengo we kumoyi ingumada takana okyo sokinu kibangasi manuele ngando mushisamye manuele. Yeah. Hey everyone, on today's episode of 2 Feet Podcast, we had on the incredible Miss Tina Cavicchio, who is a Latin fusion dancer, instructor, as well as performer. In this episode, we talk about her childhood, growing up in New York City, what got her into dancing, some hints and tips on how to improve your bachata. This is a great episode. Let's jump right into it. Yeah.
Hey, all
Oh,
right.
hey, hello.
So I am now on the line with a Miss Tina Cavicchio, and you are a traveling Latin fusion dancer, instructor, as well as a performer. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
So no, I believe you were born in New York. Is that right?
I was born in Boston, but
Oh, okay.
I spent some time in upstate New York for a little bit.
So yeah, okay. So born in Boston, moved to New York. Do you currently live in Massachusetts now?
I do. I do
So
live
enough.
like in the greater Boston area. Yes.
Okay. So I believe you've been dancing since the age of 2. And you've trained, or is that correct?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you trained in ballet, tap, jazz, ballroom, contemporary, hip hop, modern, Latin, as well as African dancing. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. So I've basically been exposed to dancing my whole
Yeah.
life, and I've taken some breaks in between, but I love all forms of dancing, and I love
Okay.
all
Yeah.
types of training as much as possible. I love dance, period.
I believe your father was a ballroom dance entertainer. Is that correct?
Yeah, he actually still is.
Okay, awesome.
He plays music for ballroom stuff,
Oh,
so
okay.
I always grew up around ballroom dancing, so I got into it pretty young. I think I was like 11
Okay.
when I
That's
started.
what I say. I think you focused on mambo. Is that right? Or
Yeah, that's where I had like majority of like my training, but I've
okay.
trained a little bit in all types.
What I'm curious. What I guess instruments did your dad play?
So he's like the most intelligent man in the world. He invented his own instrument that
Okay.
is basically an entire symphony orchestra besides drums. So I was actually his drummer for a little while when we did ballroom
Uh,
jobs.
he invented an instrument. That's crazy.
He's insane. So it sounds like a complete band. He can do like a one man show. So whenever he did ballroom gigs, sometimes if his like drummer wasn't available or if I was like around, I would fill in for the drummer. So
Oh wow. Is there a name for that instrument or like
called
what
the
is it?
clavichord.
One more time. Clavicorn.
Clavichord. So it looks like an accordion.
Uh huh.
And it's fused with like our last name, Cavicchio, and
Okay.
chord. So clavichord.
So I want to try and search this afterwards. Spell it for me, please. Oh,
Cavichord.
I'm definitely gonna look this up. I gotta see this.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
That is. Um. Well, I guess I want to start out with though. I've never been to Boston, so I would very much like to hear. What was your childhood like growing up in Boston? What was that like?
Well, I was kind of going back and forth between like Boston. So my mother and father were always separated, so I was kind of always going back and forth between there. But in terms of like my father's side of the family is super musical. So like I said, he plays music. Him and his brother and my grandfather, they were all like on the Lawrence Welk show when they were younger, which was like the biggest TV show in the world back then. Like when TV was like first starting, like when TV didn't exist before.
Shona.
Yeah, and so my aunt is also like a world class ballerina, so
Oh,
I did a little
okay.
bit of training with her when I was younger. And then with my mother, she's also a musician. She plays the drums, and so I
Okay.
always did dance like when I was with her, and so music and dance and everything was like always very, very much like in my family, which was
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it was really great.
And so I'm curious. I guess at that age, and how important was music in both households? Was like music always on? I guess were you always involved in it?
Yeah, I mean, I think especially there was like some trials and tribulations in my childhood and it was a little bit hard kind of going place to place all the time. So music was like for sure my like escape from
Okay.
everything.
Yeah.
And like I remember my fantasy world, like I would just go in my room and blast. God, I don't even know. Everything in sync. I think
Okay. You big in?
oh hell yes, in sync my jam.
Okay.
It still is to this
All
day.
right. I'm not gonna judge you.
And I just like dream I mean, I like really like could see myself like on stage like dancing as
Hey,
like the
hey,
backup
hey.
dancers. And that was like my happy place. Or like playing the piano or whatever it is. It's like I mean still to this day, like dance is a huge escape for me, in like a positive way too.
Yeah.
So
So,
important.
yeah, so I'm curious, were you I guess since a young age, did you always envision yourself, I guess, as a full time dancer or in the music scene somewhere somehow?
I think in the back of my mind, I knew that that was like my number one love. But I think that I fought that for a while just because I'm like, I can't do this for be a full time dancer or musician. Like, it just didn't seem like uh, something that was like worth the risk, I guess.
Right,
I don't
right.
know.
I
And
understand.
so I actually went to school for biology. I didn't get super far because I was also dancing and working and trying to pay for school and everything. And I actually got a job in a lab like this past year because I was like trying to do everything and all of the things. And so I was there and I think I was going so much, like I was working, I was going to school, I was dancing, and I was like trying to juggle all these things. I had no time to like think about what I was doing. And then finally I got to this lab and I was there and I had a second to like think and I was like, God, I don't even like this.
Okay.
It's like I think I was influenced by here in Boston, like it's like every other person you walk by has like a PhD in like something.
Okay.
So all of my students are pretty much like engineers, scientists, or like computer science majors and are like doing these amazing things. So, um, I mean, it wasn't a bad thing, but I was definitely influenced by that. So I was like,
Of
maybe I should
course, of
go
course.
for science or something. That seems cool, which it is super cool. But yeah, I didn't last more than 2 months. And I realized like I just wanted the lab coat. I didn't
Okay.
actually really like the
You could
job.
have saved yourself some money and bought that at Walmart, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I just bought myself a lab coat and left. So it's actually been very recent that I decided to pursue dance full time because that's like
Hey,
all I could think about 24/7. And it was really good for me to do that and like get a different job to see that it's not really for me and it's not where my heart is. So I have to at least try, you know?
I think that's really cool though. I think maybe I would say you're very fortunate maybe to maybe not have dedicated too much time into something that
Absolutely.
you truly don't like.
I mean, I actually, I was like, I had this like long-term plan of like finishing my undergrad, going to grad school, doing all this blah
Man,
blah. But I ended up getting a job after like technically 2 years of school, and it was just by chance because like my transfer stuff didn't go over on time or something. So I just happened to get this job, and it was like a blessing because
yeah,
known because I would have just keep like running around like my teacher
right.
stuff.
Yeah, seriously, that's really a blessing in disguise, maybe
Yes, I definitely see it as a blessing, and I'm trying not to be like, "Oh, I like wasted all this time," because I didn't. I have to try it to know. We don't really know because school is like fun, and you learn all these things, and
Right.
it's different being in the real world, and it's hard when you're juggling like a million things.
Yeah,
You
I
sit down
would say
and think
I would
about.
say also though you can always go back to school, right?
Absolutely, yeah, and I might
Yeah.
go back for something else, or I
Yeah.
might not. So I always have that.
Nah. Yeah, at school that's like the safe bet. You can always go back to school. So I think you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I wanna so tell me about this then. So you're growing up, moving around a lot. Were you like big into sports or anything or
No, so I never did any sports. I did
okay.
karate.
Okay.
So, I did martial arts for a while. And I was a huge band geek, so I
Okay.
was I was in band like all throughout school.
Okay.
And then I also really liked like art, so I was into like painting and drawing and all that kind of
I
stuff.
said,
But I never did any sports, and I really wish I did. And I love playing sports
yeah,
now, like,
yeah, yeah.
but I am so horrible at it.
Nah, I get you. I guess my real question really is that just I guess other hobbies. Did you have any other hobbies growing up, or was it strictly dance and music? Like you said,
Dance
band.
music was like my main,
Okay.
and it was just like switching between like, okay, I'm gonna do guitar, now I'll do piano, now I'll do vocals or
Okay.
drums, or I'll do this type of dance now. And then karate I did like for a long time. I don't know how many
I don't
years,
think
but
I've
that was
ever
like,
heard. I've never heard someone say it like you said. That's really it's different.
yeah. Well, my mom's Japanese, and she would yell at me if I said
Okay.
karate. So
Yeah. So wait, hold on, just so I get it right. Karate.
karate, yeah.
All
And
right.
I'm
See.
probably she would say I have an American accent when I say it, but that's how
Okay.
I'm
Wait.
supposed to say it.
So hold on, I gotta ask them. What's I didn't know your mother was Japanese. So what is your father then?
So my father is Italian, so that's
Oh,
why
okay. He said okay. So never.
Cavicchio, yeah.
Kaviki. Okay.
Yeah, and then my mother's Japanese, so I'm
Do you
half.
speak any Japanese?
No, I can only say like "Urusai na honta ni asa kara mamare," which basically means you're annoying from morning till night. Because that's the only thing my mom used to say to me. So that's the only thing I know how to say.
I mean, that might come in handy one day, you know.
Yeah, I guess I could say to my kids if I have kids, like
All
"Urusai."
right, shut up. No, I get you. I get you.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're growing up and everything, and yeah, you're strictly, music focused. Then, I guess then, I guess how do you get introduced? So you're doing ballroom and everything. How do
Yeah.
you get introduced? I guess to the Latin world. How does that come about?
So it was actually somebody that was in the ballroom scene. So I was training and I was going out to socials. And the socials are
The,
decent.
the
I would
ballroom socials you're talking about, right?
ballroom socials, yeah. But I was very young and it's a much like older crowd and like they
Yeah,
would
right.
end at like 10. And they didn't play a lot of Latin stuff, which I ended up like really loving, like mambo. Um, and like they played some bachata and stuff and like merengue, and I also love the hustle, but they didn't play a whole lot of that. So it was kind of like and then someone told me to like check out this club called Havana Club in Boston, which is like
Mm,
I teach there now, and it's like my place
nice.
all the time.
That's awesome.
And I walked in on a Monday night. I think it was a Monday night. And actually, this couple, Jen and Louise, I saw this. I went to the class, and this couple, Jen and Louise, they were teaching a class, and it was bachata. And then, like, the social started, and there were, like, people more my age, and, like, there were so many people there, and, like, the energy was just, like, it was, like, what I loved when I heard, like, the salsa songs in the ballroom social, but it was just, like, the whole night. And I was like, holy shit. So I ended up just quitting ballroom and not doing
Okay.
it.
Okay. So no. L- Let me ask you this now. I'm curious. Going back to your beginner stage, when you were learning bachata and everything, do you think your background in ballroom and everything, do you think that helps you pick up bachata a little bit more easy, or
I definitely think so. I mean, I was exposed to bachata. I never was like trained in it in ballroom, but it's kind of like learning a language. Like once you and I only know English, so this is a bad example for personal reasons. But I've heard that when you learn one language, it's like easier to learn another one. So I think it's the same thing with dance. Like, and that's why I love training in like multiple genres because I think it can help you with like the main focus that you have, or you may find something where you want to fuse it together with something else.
right, right, right?
But yeah, I definitely think because I had learned like different types of dance, I kind of knew how to learn to dance. If that
Okay,
makes
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, no, definitely. I think dancing is, really, like, in my opinion, I guess, understanding how your body moves, right? So when you have that background and understanding how you can move your body and what you're capable of, you
right,
pick up new things.
right, and it's also like how you learn it, like the things to listen for, and like yeah, you have things in your like muscle memory that are kind of
Right.
similar. In terms of like frames, I already like understood a little bit about frame and how to hold myself and everything like that. So
Ramp's huge. Yeah.
it was, yeah, it was a little bit easier, but I still train, I still take classes, I
Of
still
course.
still
I would love to hear. Tell me about your beginner stage. What was that like?
in bachata and like the Latin world.
So would you start with?
Hey, if you can leave a like and subscribe, that would be amazing for the channel. Let's get back to the video.
In the Latin
And
world.
so, would you start with? Did you start with bachata, or what did you start with originally? I guess.
So like I said, with ballroom, I was doing like mambo. So,
Mm.
it's funny because people mostly know me for bachata, but salsa is my first love.
Okay.
And I love it just as much as I love bachata. So I'm glad I'm getting to get back into it and stuff. But when I started going to this Havana club, I think about like a month later, I got recruited onto this team, Alma Boston. They just do bachata. So I got like very involved with that. I did like a lady styling team, I did the partner team, and then just kind of my world became bachata. So I got to.
You also did you direct for them as well for a couple of seasons?
I did, yeah. I think it was 5 or 6
Yeah. It
seasons.
said five on like a website, but yeah, I'm not for
Yeah,
sure.
so 5 seasons I directed Alma Boston. So I was on the team, I think, for 2 seasons before I started directing.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And let me ask you this real quick. I don't really know much about ballroom. Is ballroom mamba, is that similar to cha cha?
No, it's similar to like salsa. It's just
Oh,
the difference is that when you train mostly just for like performance, and they don't really train for like, oh, this is how you read connection for social dancing and stuff like that.
so
They
is
just
it
train.
just patterns or what? Not pattern, but a
Yeah, it's just
routine.
like a routine, and
Okay.
they train mostly body movement. They don't really train, at least like where I was, they didn't train much like connection wise or like social dancing. It was just for like how to look good and stuff like
Okay,
that.
okay.
So it really helped
That
me with like
so
body.
that's like a ballroom is it's like you're performing for judges, right? You're kind of trying to get points, right?
Yes, yes. So I actually never. So once I was actually like a month away from doing a competition, and I backed out after I found Latin dancing,
I
and
understand.
decided just not to do it anymore. I just
Yeah.
never went
I mean,
back.
it seems like you don't invest too much time in something you're not about, which is a really good skill. It sounds like.
Yeah, yeah. I think I just fell in love with the energy and the culture that I like felt with like the Latin dance community. That it's just that's what I wanted
Yeah,
to
yeah,
do.
yeah.
Also, it's much more affordable.
Okay, I've heard ballroom can be expensive. So is it true?
It is very expensive. It's super expensive. Yeah, so I think you have to really love it to want to do it. And I think there's a lot of great skill that you can gain from it, but you definitely have to have the money. And I was a broke college student, so I didn't have
So,
that much
hey,
money.
showing up. I understand that.
Yeah.
So then tell me about I guess your beginner stage in bachata. What was that like, man?
So my beginner stage in bachata. So I was, like I said, I went and I primarily trained with Alma Boston. And I think there was the first season that I was on, there was this woman named Nina Bermudez who is like just a fantastic, she was with like Alma Pro. She was just a fantastic instructor. And that was for like the ladies styling. So I think it was really helpful. And I'm like a huge advocate, like you mentioned something like body movement and like really training like footwork and training your own body to move because that was like so fundamental and like translating into my partner work. So I was doing both the partner work team and also the lady styling team. So doing both of those at the same time really, really helped me to be able to understand how to move my body and just like not have to think about body movement as much.
Yeah, yeah.
I could focus just on like getting out of some of my habits from ballroom, which would be like a really tight elbow or something.
Right, right.
Um, so that was like getting training. The 6 months of training from her was like super life changing for me.
Uh, yeah, I definitely understand that. So you're training with Alma Boston, and this is all kind of recent, then, honestly, right?
Yeah, this is within the last like 4.5 years.
Okay, so no, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, so you're training with them, and then I guess you go to college at some point, right?
Yeah, so
And
I think I was going to college at the same time. I was just going like part time.
okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Well, tell me this: how did you I guess how did you becoming a director? How did that come about? Were you just such an amazing student in those 2 years or 2 seasons, or what?
Yeah, so I think it was partially like because I had like some prior training. Um,
Okay.
And there was so basically there was the team that I was on, like we only accepted people who were a little more advanced. So there were a lot of people we couldn't accept when auditions came. I don't remember who suggested it, but we suggested having like a lower level team.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
So I ended up directing that lower level team and kind of bringing that on board so we could accept more people and kind of train people up to then go on this team. So
yeah.
that's
I get you.
kind of how it like came about. And I think I was, like I said, decent enough, and I think still I have so much to learn.
Of course, we all do.
I had a lot to learn then too, but um yeah, I and definitely having that training from Nina too was like super helpful to like translate onto this new team as well. So
Right, right.
that's just kind of how it happened. It was all very, very quick.
Yeah, so it sounds like
Yeah.
I'm curious to know then. Tell me please, I guess, what did you learn when you were, directing that team at that time? What skills did you pick up? What did you learn? What did they teach you?
Oh, well, I learned so much from directing that team because it was the first team I've ever directed.
Right, right, right.
And I didn't really know anything. I didn't really know much in terms of like how to teach or like just run a team in general or like manage people. Also, I was like very. I'm still young, but I was like 21 or 22, and all the people on the team were like older than me, and I had like so many like fears and stuff. But I think also the people that like decided to join, I had so like when I got involved with the Latin dancing, like I delved right in. Like I was at like every single day I was dancing. I met so many amazing people. So the people that joined the team, like I think really believed in me. And so it made it easier because the people there were like super supportive and like kind of made
Yeah.
like a learning thing. And so let me think of the things that I learned. I feel like it was so long ago, but
I
it
believe
actually
it.
wasn't
I
that
say,
long
tell me,
ago.
tell me about this. Tell me about learning to teach then. What was that like for you?
Yes. Okay. So around the same time, I think that I started directing the first team. I got like my first gig in Nashville to like travel and teach, which was like
Nice.
super, super scary
Of course.
because I had never done it before. It was my first job that I like got booked to go travel and like all
Was it you solo or with Alma Boston?
no, I just went solo.
Oh,
So
and
what's
I'm curious.
funny how this happened
Yeah.
was I was at a congress in Chicago, and someone took like a video on a like a bus that I was like dancing with this girl on a bus, and she like posted it, and then people in our city, I guess, like wanted to learn like what I was doing. So we were talking back and forth, and she was like, "Why don't I just like fly you out to my city and come teach?" And I
Oh.
oh my god, yeah. And then I was like, oh my god, wait, should I do this? I don't even know. And then I was like, it was super scary. And I was freaking out and just like calling my friends, like, what do I do? And like had like practice sessions at my house. And yeah, I have great friends that like helped me get through that and called them like
Awesome. That's
before.
awesome.
It's like my stomach hurts and I ate too many grapes and then my stomach hurt and it was bad. So it was kind of like all the things kind of hit me at once, like all of the blessings kind of happen at the same time. And it's like one of my mentors here like always tells me like you're never gonna feel ready. Like the things are something
Hey,
gonna
okay.
come and you're not gonna feel ready because if you just wait until you feel ready, you're never gonna do
Come
anything. So
on.
I think for me, I'm like jumping around, but I think for me, I've had like a lot of different types of like dance experience here and there. But I was so new to Latin dance and people that like believed in me like really just kind of pushed me. And if it wasn't for like the people that pushed me and like believed in me, like I wouldn't have done any of these things. So that in itself is like a huge deal.
Yeah.
But so like in bigger picture, going through these things and doing these things for the first time has like really taught me to like walk through fear, which is something I like try to continue to do through my life and through my work. Um, and kind of going like backwards. You were asking me a lot about like my beginner stages of dance, and to like get a little bit more personal as to like why I really got involved with dancing was around so because of like things that happened in my childhood or whatever like that, I got involved with some bad things. And so I'm actually like in recovery. And so
Okay.
once I like started on that journey in recovery, I same time is when I like started doing like the ballroom and entered into the Latin dance world. So all of that is like super coincides with each other. And this is actually the first time I've ever like openly said it. So I feel like I'm
Okay.
coming out right now.
I appreciate you coming out there. I
This
really
is like
do.
actually this is like way more scary coming out than I did like coming out as gay. So
Okay. All right. I understand.
but yeah, so I think that's why also like I jumped so deep into it and like took as many classes as I could and like went out as much as I could because I was just like so brand new to like being sober and like I wanted to have fun and I wanted to be able to like dance gave me a way to like feel something again. Like feel the same feeling as like with substances and everything like that. So I
Okay.
got that same like high, I got that same feeling. So I just like chased that like just as hard as I did like, you know,
Yeah.
before I got clean. So that's why like I was kind of doing dance like periodically through the time before that. And that's why like I went like so hard and
Okay.
fast like
Okay. So
when I
yeah, you kind of took it serious then. All right.
yeah, exactly. So it just
Okay.
became my life and like everything I thought
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
I mean, I was well. I mean, that's amazing that you were able to find something you truly love. That's all. That's so amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like we say, like, you know, lost dreams awaken. And I think from that, like, little girl that was like dancing in a room wanting to be on NSYNC, like, I was able to be like, okay, like, that's really what, like, I've always loved. And I tried to, like, I buried that with, like, bad things. So I was able to, so when I was like, wow, I can actually, like, do what I love to do, I just, like, it became an obsession. And I
Of
just did.
course. Yeah, yeah, I understand that. So,
I don't remember what the question was. I just went on, like, I
no, that's all good. I wanted to, I wanted to hear about, I guess, you learning to teach and everything, but that's perfectly fine.
Oh, yes, me learning to teach. So, like, okay, so yeah, so I guess my learning to teach was kind of just learning by getting thrown into it.
Hey,
I wasn't really taught, like, okay, this is like how you do blah, 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 blah. I mean, I had some knowledge from like being on a team and seeing how it was run, and some things that I wanted to keep in those methods, and some things I didn't want to keep in those methods. So I took like what I had done to me with like either my ballroom training too, and then I also just kind of like tried, and I was just very honest and being like, hey. Guys, we're gonna try this way, and like let me know if there's anything I can do to change. And I think just like being really honest with people
yeah,
is the best way to learn, and being open to like feedback, and being open to things changing, or like you changing your methods. So I think that's really how I learned. There was no real like
yeah.
pathway. It was just kind of, and
Okay.
it still is. I continue to like kind of mold what I feel like is going to work best with people. And I teach everybody differently. I teach every city differently. It's just kind of like what I feel like they need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, real quick, how old were you when you started teaching? You said you were 21 or 23 at that when you were doing that
Um,
dance team.
yeah, I don't know. So I was 21,
Okay.
21,
Showing
maybe
up.
22.
All right, so I was gonna say I checked I looked on your Facebook page and you have nothing but like just positive reviews for your teaching style, So I wanted to ask you, what makes you kind of a good teacher? What do you think? But you kind of already answered it. But do you think you do anything special or different?
Yeah, so I think because of like the reasons why I started dancing, um I try to put that into my teaching, especially if I teach something a little bit more like if I teach a contemporary class or if I teach kind of like more performance stuff. I think for me like performing um in certain types of movement is like it can be very healing. So I really like to help people be able to find their story when they dance, and to be able to like to express their story because it can be so healing, and it's been for me as well to like create pieces that like is something I really need to, I feel like I need to like let go of. So I think that's one part where I really try to focus on like, okay, yes, we have all these movements, but why are we dancing? Why do we dance? Why are we here right now? Why are we wanting to get better? And if we like take back like some of those onion layers, like we usually find something a little bit deeper, whether it's
Yeah, yeah,
we want, we have low self-esteem, we want to feel better about ourselves, or like we've been through like some trauma and this is a way that we want to like be able to connect with people again, or whether or not it's like this is our way that we want to like escape from something bad happening, or whatever the circumstance is. And sometimes it is like a surface level reason as well, like we just want to like we want exercise or something. Um, but for the most part, like when I start asking these questions and I start really like trying to dig deep into the reasonings, I usually find something like a little bit deeper. And I feel like, and even myself too, I got, when I was with Alma Boston, I got really caught up in just like, okay, we have to like produce a product, we have to just like make it good, like clean it, blah, and perform. And it's very easy to get away from like those deeper meanings for why we dance, which can make, which is why you see sometimes a performance and like you're just like you feel something, right? Or like
Yeah,
you're a piece of
definitely.
music and like you feel something. And for me, like when I dance, whether it's social dancing or whether it's performing, like I want to feel something. I want to feel like I want to feel some like connection. I want to feel like grounded in the moment, or I want to feel like I can let go of something, or I want to feel like confidence or something, or a sense of like getting to know who I am. So I think that's like a big part of like what people have responded to.
Yeah.
Um,
I
and
think when you have that emotion behind it, it makes it different than just being kind of bland and unemotional. It adds a different flavor to it.
Right, totally, totally. And I think that's what I'm trying to like get more into right now, which is also why I kind of like the fusion-esque kind of dancing, because I like to be able to just do what I'm feeling and then not to have rules. I don't really want rules when I dance,
Yeah.
you know what I
I don't
mean?
know. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and then I also think that people respond to the fact that I like to focus on, like, if I teach something like social dancing, I'm all about like how something feels, right? And I think that when we dance, we need to focus on how we feel first. And like when I say feel, like mentally, spiritually, but also physically, how we physically feel to another person. So when I'm leading or when I'm teaching someone how to lead, I always try to help them feel better, like for the follow to feel better, like to feel good when you're dancing with someone, and it to feel like a massage, or like, to feel like something good, like it
Yeah.
doesn't, because there's a difference between social dancing and performing. And I think
Of
that
course.
that
And
really.
sometimes people can blur those lines.
Absolutely. So I think I try to make that very, very clear when I'm teaching, like, like if I'm teaching a team versus if I'm teaching like social dancing. Like social dancing, let's leave that performance stuff away and let's just focus. Like we're here to feel something, and we're here to connect, and we're here to like not get our backs broken. You know what I mean? Or,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
so I think those are probably the two things that people really like. And I mean, it's also because like I'm this like small, I'm like 5 feet tall, so I'm like
Yeah, I saw your videos. I was like, you're very small to be
I'm
leading. Not to be leading, but
super tiny. I'm
you are. Man, I'm saying you are.
so I think also, women really like to see like someone leading who's also a woman, or like that identifies as a woman, and also maybe some like short guys too that are like, oh, I can like lead these dips and stuff, and I don't have to be super strong to do it. And so I
I
really
fuck with that.
like to, and I hate the word technique because I feel like it's so overused, and I feel that people that say like I like to teach technique, it's like when someone says, oh, I'm a really nice guy, and then it's like, well, you're probably not that nice if you have to try to convince me with your words.
Right. If you have to say
Right.
it, if you have to say it. Right. Right.
Right. So but I mean, yeah, so I like to focus on, how to do things properly and kind of taking things slow, and I'd rather spend more time on something and than like give too much information and people do it wrong and be like,
Of
oh, I learned that
course.
in Tina's class. So especially because I get booked mostly for sensual stuff, and like so many of the sensual stuff, sensual bachata is like illusions, and people like go on YouTube and they try to copy moves, and like people end up getting hurt or getting like poked in the head.
Oh
And
man.
I like to base a lot of my workshop off of like I don't want to say issues, but things that I've seen in the social dance community that I feel like could be improved. And I don't think it's
Right.
a matter of like, it's not their fault, but I think someone just needs to like remind them, that there's
Right.
a proper way to do
Of
something.
course.
And that, like, we need to be focusing on safety first.
Of course. Yeah. I feel like you can only learn so much from YouTube. I don't think YouTube does not replace an in-person class or a teacher at all.
Yeah.
I wanna go back to going back to you leading and everything. So when you were, I guess, learning to, I guess, dance, were you mostly in the beginning stage? Were you mostly a follow, or were you a lead, or?
Yes, that's a good question. So when I was doing ballroom, I was completely just a follow. I it was very uncommon, at least where I was, for anybody to lead that was a female, and it was even uncommon in the Latin dance world to lead as a woman. Like when I first started, like almost 5 years ago. And then what got me to start leading was actually like one of the first like few months that I was like going out social dancing. Like I brought my girlfriend at the time, and so I was like, all right, well, like one of us has to do it.
Somebody's
You know
got to
what I
lead.
mean? Like one of us has to lead, I
Right, right,
guess.
right.
And like I remember like people like guys like breaking us up and like trying to like
Trying to.
like
Okay, I've
dance
seen
with
that
it.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see it as much anymore. Like at least in Boston, it's become like our community is amazing now, but back then it was like a little bit tougher, and like I got rejected so much, being like, "But you're a girl." But anyway, so I had a girlfriend, and
Really?
I danced with her and everything, and then we broke up like very shortly after that. But I ended up realizing that like I really liked this other role too, and like not even like with a significant other, but just in general. So I started like just trying to learn. Um, so I took all the workshops. I've never taken a workshop as a follow.
Oh
I
wow.
them as a lead. Um,
Well, so all right, I got so many questions for you. Real quick, do you think you may be better at one more than the other? Do you have an opinion on that?
um, I try to think about that a lot because I don't actually know. I think I have a lot to learn with both.
Of
I think
course.
I've also learned a lot in both. I think I've spent more time. I can't even say that. I think in Latin dance, I've spent more time training as a lead. Maybe not even. No, I think it's pretty equal.
Okay.
Um,
Well, that's my follow question then. Do you which one do you think is more difficult? Because in my opinion, me being a strictly lead, I don't know how follows do what they do. I think following is incredibly difficult.
I think they both have their difficulties. I know that like for myself, I'm so glad I can do both because
That makes you an incredible dancer. I already know it.
yeah, that plus like when I'm social dancing, I think leading takes more thinking.
I
Um
believe it. Yeah.
and then following takes more just like general like you have to really train your body to be able to respond to things. And I think
Is it feeling and like being in the moment maybe or
well, yeah,
responding,
I think once
acting?
you get the muscles working that like you know you're supposed to have, and like you have like the right frame, like you can then follow anything, and then it becomes easier. So like at this stage, I think for me following is definitely easier
Yeah,
um,
nice.
than leading. But because when I'm following, I have control over my own body and I know how to respond to like if someone dips me wrong or something like that. With leading, sometimes it's like you really you have to like know you and you have to adjust to every single
Of
person, so it makes it a little
course.
bit more difficult. But I don't know. I think they both have their difficulty.
Yeah. I think following just my opinion is just more difficult is because you have to truly give up control to this other person, and that's just
Yeah.
that's not something I'm very used to, you know what I'm saying? So
Right, totally. That makes sense. I think because I started with following, maybe that's why it comes a little bit more easier to me. I think
okay, yeah, I
I only
understand.
followed in ballroom for all those years, so that's
Yeah.
probably a
So
factor.
yeah, I mean, yeah, your ballroom background, I think you feel like you're trying to downplay it. That makes you an incredible dancer as well.
Well,
Even
yeah,
of
yeah,
course.
it
um,
definitely
say it again.
it definitely helps. It
Of
definitely.
course, yeah. I want to ask you this. Being you're 5'1", 5'3", what are you?
I'm 5 feet.
5 feet. Sure enough, I saw you leading. Please, can you give me some tips for leaders? How can us as leaders, instead of maybe trying to force everything and use strength,
Mhm.
what tips can you give us to maybe lead more? I don't know what the right word is, but less brute strength and maybe something different.
Yeah, like to be able to lead clearly, but without force.
You're right, right, right.
That's like kind of my mantra. I would say. I think so. What I love to do in some workshops, especially with like sensual stuff, is really talking about moves as breaths. And like when I start and I social dance with like a new partner and they're like, I'm here in a close position, I'll literally just breathe with them, like up
Yeah.
and down, and try to like gain some like connection and try to
Exactly.
feel
Exactly.
what they're comfortable with, and also just get us like connected in that moment. And
Yeah.
it's something that I felt from Juan Calderon. And I felt this like breathing thing, and I was like, oh, this is so nice. And so I just like took it, and I do it all the time now. But I think of dancing like a social dance is like a relationship. Like you're having this like 3 minute relationship with somebody, and like
Conversation.
if you think of it as like going on a date, right? It's like when you meet someone for the first time, you're not going to be like, okay, let's move in, let's have babies, and let's like do all this stuff right away.
Right. Right.
Like
Right.
you gotta like get to know each other a little bit first, talk, like kind of check each other out, like see where you're at. Are you on the same page? Are you not? Okay, let's try to get on the same page. Okay, we're not gonna get on the same page. Let's just like stick to like small talk. So like small talk would be just okay. If you're not comfortable with this, let's like just do a basic, then like right
Yeah.
turn, left turn. Um, so I think and then I always like talking about like same thing like even a relationship. So like let's say like you move really quickly. Okay, they're like good with babies and stuff. So you're gonna do all that. Like, okay, but we gotta like check back in. Are you still doing good? How are you doing after this? Okay, let's like check back in. I think thinking of it as like more than just like I want to show my dance. I really want to in this moment like make this a really good experience for like both people in there where we're one being in this moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Um, so I think taking things slow in a social dance and being okay with like the moments where you feel like you're not doing anything or like that it's not going to look like you're doing anything, right? And just where it's just you and that person are the only people that know what's going on in that moment. And then you can break away and then you can come back and like check back in. I think that's like the biggest thing. And then the second thing is like own like getting really good at your own body movement because for and I always say to people that want to learn sensual is that if you want to lead all of these things body manipulations on another person like you better be able to do that yourself too.
Right. Uh-huh.
So
Right.
I think by and that's why I think a lot of follows become really good leads because they have already understood how the body is supposed to move, and so they can lead it on someone else and know how to counterbalance just like intuitively. So I think, and that's why I continue to train with like all different types of dance because I think the more body awareness we have, the better we feel. And I always talk about leading things with the body. So, for example, instead of like prepping a turn, even like a right turn, if I'm prepping a turn like this, right? I'm gonna prep here, right?
Okay. Yeah. That's different. That's
That
the difference
way,
too.
that way, all of the energy, right, is now in my body and is transferring over to the other person, as opposed to me trying to use my arm to actually lead it. So I like to think of my arms as just like they're bystanders in my dancing, right? My body is always going to lead the movement that's going to come next, right? And I can just lead without any force if I use my body to lead
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so I think the breath, using the body, gaining awareness of your own body movement, are like the three biggest things I think I would say.
Yeah. All right. I really appreciate that. And let me ask you this then. Maybe you can give me some help on this. Maybe some tips. For follows. Is there anything? You have your own, I believe, dance team now, correct? You.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to be starting my own dance team in September. So I
Yeah.
just started like my official company. So
Okay. Yeah.
um,
I,
I've done
I'm
some like
curious.
little teams here and there, but
Okay. Wait. I was curious. Maybe if you had, are there any issues you commonly see maybe with follows that you maybe can you give them any hints or tips to help them improve?
yeah. Um, so one like very specific and blatant thing is like because I'm short, a lot of people will like bend their knees to try to get to my level. So for a follow, I can dance with you if you're like 6 feet tall, which I've danced with someone who's 6 feet tall. Um, and like your goal should always be to be light, right? Be light, but like also grounded. And I like to think of like energy when I dance of like where are we putting our energy and like we always want to put our energy like in the center of our bodies and then in between like our partners. So a lot of times people will like go really really low and try to bend their knees and now their energy is all gone to the ground.
Yeah, that kind of makes you heavy too, right?
Yeah, it makes you heavy. Or they'll go all the way back and now their energy's gone to the back. That also makes you really, really
Lose
heavy.
balance too, probably something.
Or even like they'll use their hands and go like this. And once we do this, our energy's gone up. So we always want to like focus like our angles going in, right? So that our energy's focused like on the inside. And this is how we can follow like body isolations really, really easily. Um, and always thinking that like even in our own body that our energy is going to be centered, right? So like from here I'm pushing down into my core and I'm also pushing my shoulders inward into my core, and then from the bottom I'm pulling up and I'm also going to push a little bit into the ground as well so that I'm still grounded, but whereas like that's where like the little knee bend comes forward. But anyway, in simple terms, we want to think of energy going up and energy going down into our core so
Yeah.
that
So
it helps
right,
center.
right now you're speaking about frame, right? This is all frame right here, correct?
Yes, yes. Frame is like very, very important.
Or
And there's a
of
lot
course
of
for leads and follows.
for leads and follows, absolutely. Yeah. And there's a lot of like misconceptions that I've heard, where people say, like pinch, like you have like a pencil in between and stuff like that. But once this happens, then like now I have all
Yeah.
this strain in the back. And so I have
Yeah.
to counterbalance with the bottom. And now I'm in this like weird position. And then that's what we get like back pain. So really
Mm.
being able to like push the energy into our abs, it's like going to be the most, like the least likely to get hurt if we like concentrate the energy in our front instead of the back.
Okay. I,
So yeah.
yeah. Well, real quick. I don't want you to repeat yourself, but is there any I guess exercises or anything we can do, leads and follows, to help improve our frame? You know, what is there anything we should be looking for? How does one improve their frame?
Um, so I definitely think like ab exercises. I know they're not the most fun thing to do, but I get a lot of
Having a strong core, though, yeah.
yeah, it's having a strong core, doing ab exercises, um, anything really like cross training wise that's going to like I just went rock climbing this morning. Anything that's going to help you like gain some better stability and like knowing where your center is. I feel like that a lot of times people aren't super aware of like their center, and it's hard to explain like what that means, but anything where you like have to really like control your body, and I think rock climbing is a really good way to do that because you really have to like know where to put your weight if
Right, right.
you fall and stuff like that. um or and like that's why also just cross training in different types of dancing where you really have to, you're doing pirouettes and you really have to know where your center is. um and then like lat pull downs are really good too. You
Okay.
want to have really like strong lats so that you can hold the energy up so your arms don't flop down, and also so that you have this nice frame in the upper area without using your elbows. And then squats are really important.
Okay. For the
Squats.
legs, right? That's a whole body workout, really, though, right?
Yeah, pretty much a whole body workout is like the best, I would say. And then I think just like when I first learned like what muscles I was supposed to engage, like I would just walk around everywhere, trying to like engage those muscles, like in the grocery store or at my job. And some people say like if you have like a broom to like put it underneath like this, like underneath your arms and like put it behind, so they're sticking out from here, and so you'll be able to feel like okay, the lat muscles are engaged and my
Ah,
engaged.
okay.
So that can help you like know where you're supposed to be engaging your muscles. But again, we don't want to like bring it so far back. It's so
Right. I mean, well, even bringing it back, you that far back. I know you're breaking your frame at that point, though. I don't.
right.
I've never heard that, honestly. But
Oh,
people give
really?
out bad
Yeah. No, I've heard it a couple of
people give out
times.
bad information all the time, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah. So well, that's good that you haven't heard that, and maybe it's like going away. But I guess
Okay.
like maybe a couple of years ago, people were still saying that. And it's like,
Mm,
oh.
okay. Sure enough. Okay. Sure enough. Sure enough.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this. If I'm not mistaken, you're actually coming to the New Orleans Bachata Festival. Is that right?
Oh, I am. You're from New Orleans, right?
I Great. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, I am. So are you gonna be there?
Unfortunately, I'm actually moving at the end of this month.
Oh, yeah. Where are you moving to?
I will be moving back to Virginia. Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
I was actually. I don't know if you were you. Did you come last year at all?
No, I've never been.
Okay. Oh, well, this will be a really cool event. I'm very curious to hear. How did this come about?
The performance challenge thing.
Is that what the not his story? I believe. What is it?
Yeah,
Does not equal his story, or what is it? How do you say
yeah.
it?
So that's like why I'm coming. So basically, I went to an event in Detroit, and a couple of artists were also booked for that. two of which were Rubia Garcia and Kyla Hollums.
Ruby's amazing. I love Ruby.
Yeah, she's great. She's a unique woman for sure. Uh, no, she's awesome. So we met there, and we ended up like really vibing, and it was like a women's event. So it was something similar to like this women's empowerment thing, and it was called Dance a Mile in Her Shoes. And we ended up like going to this club to social dance, and like it was kind of like a typical like Latino club where like there was a lot of guys like with coronas like trying to grab people's asses, and like it was just not the most like empowering
This
environment.
was in Detroit.
It was in Detroit, yeah.
Okay, so no, I got
But we're
family
all
in
very
Detroit.
like
Sure enough.
strong women, and like we're handle it fine. I mean, nobody tried to do anything to me, but I like saw it happen, and like the whole like trying to pull girls apart when they're dancing, and so we just like we ended up having like the greatest time, and we like all of those things were like very funny to us, and like we ended up doing all these like timba lines, and then like we had like this salsa where like six of us were dancing salsa and like switching in between partners, and it was like super smooth, and so we all just really bonded. And so Rubia reached out to me and was basically like, how can I get you to come to the festival? And then she called me the next day and was like, "Oh my god, I have this like vision." And I won't delve into too much of what the vision is because it's going to be sort of a surprise. But
Sure enough.
basically, it was a vision that emulated like what she had felt in Detroit with this like this women's empowerment, where like we had all these women together who were like just hyping each other up, like. And I think that was so powerful about it was like there can be environments sometimes where there's like some cattiness or like jealousy or like something like that, but it was just like we just were so hyped when someone would do something or someone was social dancing, and like we just created this like amazing positive
Yeah,
environment, like
yeah, yeah.
it was such like a high feeling, I think, that we all felt. So she wanted to emulate that with this performance challenge, and then also bring in this like big vision that she has of basically a story about like a broken woman who then like is empowered by like all these other women. So with choreography and a very extensive song list and a very extensive choreography, it's going to be epic.
I believe it.
If
Okay.
we can pull this off, because it's going to be a lot of hard work, but we're working really hard for it. But it will be very, very amazing, and really be able to tell a powerful story about like, and not just women, about like when people really like get together and support each other, like what a difference it can make, and
Of
like
course, of course.
how it can make you feel good too, like when you see somebody else. And I think it's really important to get away from like hate or jealousy and just really empower yourself by empowering others, I think is a huge message that we're trying to get.
Uh, that sounds awesome. That sounds really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So will you just be doing that, or will you be teaching as well at the festival?
No, that's gonna be more than enough.
Okay,
It's
so no.
gonna be a lot of work. So we're actually, me and Kyla are gonna get flown out on Tuesday. So we're gonna be working from Tuesday until Saturday night. Um,
Of August, right? When it starts the week before.
yes, yeah, the week before,
The
because
week of, I guess. Really, I mean, yeah.
yeah, the week of, because it's gonna be a very like big production. There's lots of
Okay,
different
so no.
elements
Okay.
going on into it. So
Mm.
I'm super excited. So yes, that's all I'm gonna do there.
Okay, so I understand. You got I went last year and it was an amazing festival. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Ruby is
I
doing some
heard great
amazing.
things.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, it's really cool. And the city, you'll have fun in New Orleans. New Orleans is a really cool city. I don't know if you've ever been here, but
No, no, but I heard it's awesome.
it's
Everybody keeps
cool. Yeah,
saying.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. You if you're, it's a good city to visit. You're gonna love it to visit. I don't know about to live in, but yeah, to visit is great. You'll love it.
I know there's a lot of people talking right now online about, whatever. But
Yeah, yeah. We did actually just got it done with a little hurricane, but it wasn't too bad.
yeah, that wasn't a
Yeah.
bad hurricane.
Nah,
I
not
was like,
for
you
us.
look
Thank
dry, so.
yeah, look dry. Let me ask you this real quick. I want to ask you this. Could you give me one tip that could make anyone a better dancer immediately?
One tip that could make anyone a better dancer immediately. Yes. I think going back to thinking about, and I know that there's probably answers that like are physically like doing something physical, but I know that for me, really sitting and thinking about why I dance, and like I said, I'm going back to the same thing. has changed how I choreograph and how I think about dance. Um, and like I spend hours in my room just like dancing by myself and just like using it as a form of like therapy, almost, and a form of like, getting to know my body. And I think if someone really opens their mind and takes a second to like think about, okay, why am I dancing? Like, what do I want to get out of this moment? Like, or even just exploring, taking a moment to like explore, like, okay, like what happens when I think about this emotion of anger that I'm feeling, and think about how would my elbow move if I felt anger, right? Or how would my pinky move if it felt love? And really just trying to like get a deeper understanding of like feelings behind dance. And like it doesn't have to be something that you're feeling in the moment, but I think like thinking of dance as like a playground. One of my coaches says that is like it's play. Think of it as
Mm.
play, like when you choreograph or something, or just not even if you're choreographing, just like if you're just thinking about movement. Like just think about movement for a second and explore and play around with the emotion behind it. And I think that people will find that like when they open themselves up, like one, our brain, if we learn things in multiple ways, like our brain will like register it better than if we just keep repeating the same, like
Sure enough, yeah, yeah, yeah.
do one, two, three, five, six. Okay, I'm not getting it for some reason. You know what I mean? Like, okay, just like try a different way to learn it. You know what I mean? Try listening to a different type of song, or like try to just like get your body moving first, get comfortable like moving, get comfortable exploring different parts of your bodies or different reasons why you're moving. And I think the more that we play and the more that we explore our bodies, like the more easy it is to be able to learn and not get into those feelings, because I think something that holds people back or like stunts people are the feelings of like fears, doubts, and insecurities. And
Yeah, of course, of
I
course.
do this. Oh, I didn't get that step right away. Like I can't. And then your body like responds to that.
Right, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a lot of it's mental, right?
Absolutely. It's like so much of it is mental, right? So like if we go into a space where we already feel like we can't do it, or like we're going to fail, like we're probably going to fail, or our body is not going to be able to respond as well as if we were open,
Right.
like thinking about it differently. So I think when we think about things differently, whether it's like actually moving or learning, like that learning, like we have to think about learning in a positive way, like in our failure in a positive way. And positive is such a generic word, but um,
I get you. I mean,
trying,
a good outlook, a good mindset, though, of course.
yeah, trying to have a different perspective, I think, and finding the perspective that like works for you, that allows you to be as open as you can to exploring. I think every,
Yeah.
and I said so many. That's not one thing, but I go off rant sometimes. But um, I don't know if I answered your
No,
question.
that's perfect, man. That's perfect. I mean, the more the merrier, honestly. So that's perfectly fine. I want I want to thank you, Miss Teen, really for taking time out your day to talk to me. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, it's so great that you're doing this. I think it's really awesome to be able to hear from all different instructors, because
Of
everybody has
course, of
something
course.
to give and different perspectives and different ways of looking at things. So I think this is super awesome, and I appreciate you having me as
Of
well.
course. I want to ask you real quick. Tell me what are some of your upcoming events? What do you have going on?
Yeah, so I'm going to be in Boston here for a couple of weeks, and then the first week of August, I will be in Philadelphia, and the event hasn't been posted yet. And then the week after that will be NOLA. So those are my two like most
Hey,
recent ones coming up. So all of that, like I post, I will be having a website as well coming in like
that's
hopefully a few days. That will have all of my events on there as well, so it'll be easier to follow. I'm
yeah.
not that organized, but I'm
No,
trying to
no.
be.
And real quick, how can people reach out to you? How can they get in contact with you?
Yeah, so right now, so my Facebook is, I believe, at Tina Cavicchio, and my last name is Cavicchio, and my Instagram is the same at Tina Cavicchio. So by Facebook Messenger or Instagram, and then I'll be posting my website in a few days, which will be a little bit more like um, easy to navigate, like all the different things that I'll be doing.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. Hey, like I said, Tina, I really do appreciate it. I can tell you're super passionate about dancing. I really do appreciate you taking time to talk to me, Tina.
Yes, thank you so much. I hope you have a good day and don't get rained on.
I hope that is the show enough. So real quick, when I upload this, I'll make sure I'll put all your contact information in the details below, and I'll send you all the links. All right?
Oh, perfect. Yeah, this was
Yeah,
super great. Thank you for
of
having
course, of
me.
course. Thank you so much, Tina. I really do appreciate it.
All right, have a good rest of your day. Hope to meet you soon.
Of course, of course. Take it easy, Tina.
All right, bye.
That's all it is. Hey everyone! If you made it this far to all to the end of the video, I want to thank you so much. Um, my overall goal with making these interviews and these episodes is to give a voice to dancers. To give them a platform to speak their story. So, if this is of value to anyone, then that means the world to me. My overall goal is to give value to the dance community. So, if you find no value in this, then I urge you to please let me know where I can improve on. Um, I I truly want to, just uh, give value and content to the dance community. So please let me know how I can improve, where I'm messing up, because to be 100% honest with you, I'm learning along the way as I do this. I truly am. So to be able to interact with the dance community, it means the world to me because it gives me feedback and it lets me know what I'm doing right, where I can improve upon. What I'm doing wrong, which I feel like might maybe more important. So please, if you all could comment and just let me know what you think, it means the world to me because that feedback just helps me improve. So um, please comment as well. Please like and subscribe. That means a lot as well. But I want to say thank you so much for just watching this because it means the world to me. I want to take you on this journey of the Two Left Feet podcast. I'm very excited for it. So once again, thank you so much.